I think it could be interesting to hear people's stories to how they become who they are and where they're at. So today I've done a podcast, I've done my videos here, I've written 5 books, currently writing and working on more books, um, created websites. I do all sorts of things, um, audiobooks. But where did I start? I started with an interest in computers. So I did college. I didn't get the grades at school because I didn't concentrate at school. I didn't concentrate properly. I could have got better grades. I know that. I was going to do computer programming. The college suggested I do an intermediate like computer course, which it was so pointless. It was a year of waste because it was just stuff I'd covered at school. I passed that. Then they offered me to go and do the computer programming. At that point, I'd had enough of college. So I left. That was enough school for me. Yeah. Then I got a junior accounting job as apprentice, sort of apprentice role. It was £40 a week. It weren't a lot, but I was assisting the accountant. They started giving me more and more responsibilities because I was doing well. Ended up giving me my own office and computer, and then they had me chasing up ledgers and all sorts of things, chasing up with other companies and things. And it's like I got resentful, to be honest. £40 a week for this. The amount of work I was doing, it's just this is a joke. Plus, downstairs I could hear people laughing and having fun, and I thought that's more my vibe. I thought, what is that? And that's what led me down the warehousing route. So I've done warehousing pretty much ever since. But I have far bigger skills than warehousing. That's far beneath me. But it's something I've always done, and I've always been good at it. And I've actually learned a lot. I can drive so many different forklifts now, operate forklifts, and that's because I have the courage to change and work at different places. Some people stay one place their whole life. They don't gain any experience. One thing I have noticed though along my journey is people getting incredibly jealous of other people's skills. Some people get fed up. They get jealous of me because I'm good at what I do. I get praised for it sometimes, and some people just feel like they walk into an opportunity and they think they're at the same level. It's like, mate, you got to gain experience to get to that level. You don't just walk in and you're the same. But anyway, enough of that. So I just did a few like warehousey jobs, and then I got a bigger break. It was further afield, but I travelled there because it was better money and opportunity. So it's like for a large UK distribution centre, and I did well with that. I got a permanent position. And then they offered everybody, like anybody that's interested in driving reach forklifts. I thought I don't like heights and stuff. It's not really for me. Well, but I thought I'll have a go, and I did really well with it. So I got a reach forklift license out of that. Then a lot of people were leaving to go to a Docklands. I wasn't really interested. I thought, no, I'll stay where I am. But then I started getting a bit fed up when people were leaving. So I thought, I'll have a look. And at that place, they offered me an opportunity to apply for a supervisor role, but I turned it down. Probably in hindsight, maybe I should have done it. Who knows? But I got offered the job just like everybody else, and we all started together. It was interesting because it was a new place. It was dealing with newspaper reels for the obviously paper reels for the newspapers, but like really heavy, like so many, like 1 ton. I think it's more of that. They were massive, and you had to have clamp attachments to a counterbalance forklift, and it was diesel. So that was new for me. We also had like a road sweeper, so you had to go around the docks with this road sweeper on this thing, and I found that quite fun because it would be like a waste disposal thing, because you can actually literally the back goes back, into the skip. While we was waiting for this to be finalised, it was like nice. It was May weather, so it was nice and hot. We was just like laying there in the sun, pretty much just painting the guardrails yellow, and we're getting paid good money for this. And then other places on the docks needed some help, and we wasn't really doing anything. So they asked if anyone wants to help, load some cars, some old banger cars, stuff's going to Nigeria, Africa. We was all up for that. That was fun because these were shitters. These were cars where the clutches were going. All they could smell is this burnt clutch. And then you had to jam them on the ships. You had to drive them onto the ships up the ramps and all sorts of stuff. And then you have to box them all in. So you have to climb out the windows to get out of the cars. It was so fun. That was a good experience. When I left there later on, I returned to the docks as an agency to do move for Hyundai. It was like brand new Hyundai cars. So you had to go to they had about 5 yards, 3 yards, about 3 yards on the docks, and you had to they'd tell you the car to get. You go in a minibus and you drive around, and then they'd drop you off at your car. These are brand new, SUVs or the, coupes and all sorts of stuff. And you have to drive them back to the central location where we didn't load them, but they would get put in a line to load it onto transport carriers and stuff. That was fun. That was probably one of the most fun jobs I had, but the pay wasn't enough for the distance I travelled. Then I've worked for like B&Q DIY store, did really well there. I did a video recently, so I'm not going to sort of go on about that too much. Then I got in a relationship and all my time was taken up with my daughter because a situation happened within that relationship where I agreed to take on all responsibilities of that role. And then my then partner needed support an awful lot. So effectively work died down for me for a good few years. It's only over the past 3 or 4 years I've got back into work. So it was a bit of a time where I was really frustrated. So I was working on like web design skills, computer skills. I was just enhancing everything really. And within the websites, it helped me finesse my writing because I was doing like reviews. I'd reach out to video game publishers and developers and they would send me free games and some merchandise and stuff. That was pretty cool. One even sent me a £300 steering wheel to try out, which I tested and then sent back. That was a really cool experience as well. So I had all these little experiences along the way, but then there's other things in between. The amount of forklifts I've got a good few forklifts now, so I've got a really large understanding of how warehouses operate, from goods into the functionality and whatnot, and then they're leaving the warehouse and distributing and whatnot. So it's interesting, and that's the sort of road I took really. But then since then I've sort of really honed in and focused more on what are my passions, what are my dreams. A family court situation when my daughter was taken away by her mother, that completely broke my heart. And that's the catalyst for my biggest change, my biggest transformation. One of my solicitors made an offhand comment during family court just after. They said, you should write a book about what's happened. This is because it was like one of the craziest situations they've ever encountered. They'd never witnessed anything like it before. And I took them up on that. I don't think anyone expected that, but that became my first foray into writing. And I realised that it was my calling because it comes easy to me. Often I challenge myself, so I try things that often don't come natural to me because to me it feels more meaningful. But I've realised we should be focusing more on our talents and skills because the fact that it's effortless is the reason we're great at it. So yeah, I've been embracing my writing journey, and sharing my healing journey, sharing everything, and then I share my insights on life's experiences, the ups and downs, the finding yourself. It's okay to be alone, and then you start to realise that it's important to set boundaries with people, and then sort of monitor and act accordingly to how people treat you. And then it's like, what are your dreams and goals? Is money really your biggest factor in life? Because if it is, it's like, that's quite sad. Because at what point do we say enough's money is enough? If you had £1 million, is £1 million enough? No. Okay. What about 10 million? Do you stop at 10? Do you know what I mean? It ends up becoming do what you enjoy, and if money comes from it, great. But realistically, just make sure you live your life happy, in alignment with really what you feel called to do. If you feel there's a purpose to your journey, then I think take notice of that and do that. But like I say, I've wrote 5 books at this point. I'm writing more books. I've had a job with a major utility company. Again, that's in the warehousing sector. I had sessions at the head office with high up people really talented. And that was interesting because I got to see the way of behaviours that other people live by, and then work within. So that's been really interesting for me, even seeing the different things. But yeah, I do feel strongly now. I am moving away from the old warehousing thing. It's so beneath me. It's ridiculous at this point. I get bored quite quick now. When it used to satisfy me, now I get frustrated quite early within warehousing because it's like I know I'm not supposed to be there anymore. It pays bills. It's it does something, but overall, I've outlived that one. In the future, I expect to do other things, maybe public speaking. That's what I've got a lot of signs about public speaking. I've had people tell me that. Maybe potentially a podcast, a decent podcast, like a really high public, a good broadcasted one. Who knows where the future leads? But I think at the end of the day, our past and what we've experienced doesn't define us. It's just part of our journey and chapter, I'll never ever regret working in warehousing, and I'll never be embarrassed of what I've been through. It's made me who I am. You know, I love what I've always loved about warehousing is, first of all, it keeps you busy, but it's more the people. There's so many people, so much diversity within a warehousing environments, and I've always found that fascinating. So yeah, it's been a journey.